Thank you, Rinku, for coming to our Deloitte office. We are delighted to have you as part of our Women in Tech series. As part of the introduction, Rinku comes with more than 24 years of experience in sales, customer success, product delivery and operations. She is currently the co-founder and the chief operating officer at Lemnisk, which is a tech company in customer data platform. Before founding Lemnisk, Rinku had leading stints in Visory, OnMobile and Emphasis. At OnMobile, she was integral to taking the company public. Rinku is also a chartered accountant, and in her free time, she is a die-hard Sudoku fan. So welcome once again, Rinku, to the Women in Tech series, and we are delighted to have you.
Thank you so much, Pragati, and it's an absolute pleasure and an absolute honor to be a part of this series. And I want to really say kudos to the Deloitte team, the CIO team, to actually, start this initiative. You rarely get to see this. So thank you again for making me a part of this series.
No, thank you, Rinku. I think we are incredibly proud to have a woman founder. So my first question is, what does it mean to be a woman co-founder in a tech company?
I never really sought out to be a woman founder. So, our focus was always to find an opportunity, and we saw there was a gap in the market, and we were just driven by passion, to create a solution that would address the need and the gap. Now that I'm a woman founder, I really recognize the significance of being a woman founder, right? And the first thing is challenging the status quo, right? Which essentially means demonstrating that women understand tech, right? They can innovate and they can build companies, around tech in this space, right? Also, it's about pushing barriers. Generally people have these notions that, women are not meant for tech. So the first thing I as a woman founder, feel proud to demonstrate that women can be in tech, right? The second thing which I would say is, when we talk about, founding a company, it has a lot of challenges, right? And being a woman, it just adds on to it because you're wearing multiple hats, right? Being a woman in tech founder adds furthermore, again, as I said, because of the entrenched preconceived notions that people have, right? But the fact that I'm a woman founder, what it has done is that it has taught me the importance of, resilience, taught me the importance of being perseverant, and most importantly, believing in yourself, right? Especially when, people think you can't do it. But the fact that, it is important to believe in yourself, this is what, this being a woman founder has taught me, right? Also, what happens is that being a woman founder, obviously, it also comes with a position of so-called strength, you can say, right? And lastly, I would say that being a woman founder, it also gives me the opportunity to share, my experiences, my challenges, my wins, my successes, whatever, right, with other women, right? Sometimes just support them, sometimes just hear them out, sometimes just encourage them or motivate them, and, tell them that go and chase your dreams, right? Just push the barriers, right? I have done it.
This has been super inspiring, Rinku. Thank you for, sharing your life experiences, and I'm sure there's so much for you, and I'm sure for your firm as well. On this topic, I really wanted to get your views on the magical wave of AI. What's your take on that?
You use the perfect word, magical, right? AI is not a trend. It is a fundamental shift that is revolutionizing industries, right? It's empowering innovations. It is deeply personalizing, experiences, right? And right now, AI has become a part of our lives, right? So we all know that, every industry, right, whether it is medical, whether it's healthcare for that matter, whether it's education or whether it is, manufacturing, they are, in every industry, AI is unlocking, efficiencies, and it's enabling smarter decision making, right? And on a magical scale, on a massive scale rather, and at an exponential pace, right? So, in fact, there are a lot of stats that float around, and one of the stats says that by 2030 or 2030 rather, AI would contribute to more than $15 trillion to the global economy, right? So that's the scale we are talking about, right? But what happens is that, then it raises a concern, around dependency, right? It raises a concern on, the need to balance between, let's say, intellectual engagement and convenience, right? But AI also has, in addition to that, broader concerns, which we all know of, right? Like we know that AI tools are black boxes. No one knows most of the people rather don't know what's going behind it, right? We know that, ownership of data, questions around it, questions around privacy of data, of personal information rather, questions around job displacement, all these are unresolved, right? So as per my view, though AI is magical, right, but we need to harness it responsibly, right? It has to be a tool to empower people, right? Education systems have to teach children that use it as a tool, not as a crutch, right? Organizations have to adopt it very in a transparent way, right? And similarly, government have to regulate it, to protect privacy, right? And in all these things, I feel that women also play a very important role, because women leaders have a very unique perspective, right? Which can actually shape the way AI, serves the humanity in the best possible way. As in, they can actually influence, how AI can serve the humanity in a better way, right? So, as per me, AI is magical, of course, but its true potential lies in how responsibly and how inclusively we use it or harness it.
Rinku, I absolutely agree with you. AI has today become such a utility. It's fundamental to all that we do. And if you see, 50% of our population is women, and 36% of that is the tech workforce, right? So today you have women who are using this technology, who are using digital in all that we are doing, and for sure contribute to shaping our economy, our thinking, and the usage as well. I just wanted to understand your perspectives. Is it a high time for women leaders to now come in, join forces, and bring in their more diverse and human-centric thinking in all that we do as part of tech?
Absolutely, because look, the need for women to join forces have always been there, right? For example, let's say that any analysis done on gender at work, right, have shown that gender diversity is not about fairness. It's not a matter of fairness. It is more, business imperative, right? Like there are reports by, McKinsey, which says that, companies which are in the top quartile of board gender diversity, they financially outperform companies which are in the bottom quartile, right? So there's always been a need for women to join forces. But now what's happened is that this urgency has got amplified and intensified. And the reason is because, businesses are rapidly adopting, as you said, digital tech, right? To transform operations. They are adopting to enhance customer experience, as well as to, even gain a competitive edge, right? Organizations are, kind of relying heavily on data, to make real-time smart decisions, right? So this entire world, for that matter, is being, let's say, shaped by technology and AI at a very, very exponential pace, right? So now when, and whatever decisions, we need to understand this, that the decisions that we take now will actually, define the future of the future, let's say, digital landscape, right, in the decades to come, right? So therefore, it is absolutely important that the women join the forces now, right? And why? Because A, they are half the population. B, they're half the consumer base, right? They are an equal stakeholder in in the future of a society, right? And also, as you said, it is also important because women also have a very unique perspective. Women leaders have a very unique perspective. They understand nuanced behaviors, right? Which can actually help the business design, far more empathetic and, let's say, human-centric solutions, right? So now, as the world is adopting more and more, digital, let's say, tech, as you said, right? It is, and if we want the tech to be, let's say, inclusive, representative, free from the entrenched biases that have been existing in the past, right? It is absolutely essential that, and urgent that the women join and participate at all levels in the decision making now.
I just wanted to understand your perspectives. Is it a high time for women leaders to now come in, join forces, and bring in their more diverse and human-centric thinking in all that we do as part of tech?
Absolutely, because look, the need for women to join forces have always been there, right? For example, let's say that if any analysis done on gender at work, right, have shown that gender diversity is not about fairness. It's not a matter of fairness. It is more, business imperative, right? Like there are reports by, McKinsey which says that, companies which are in the top quartile of board gender diversity, they financially outperform companies which are in the bottom quartile, right? So there's always been a need for women to join forces. But now what's happened is that this urgency has got amplified and intensified. And the reason is because, businesses are rapidly adopting, as you said, digital tech, right? To transform operations. They are adopting to enhance customer experience as well as to, even gain a competitive edge, right? Organizations are, kind of depending heavily on, rather relying heavily on data, to make real-time smart decisions, right? So this entire world, for that matter, is being, let's say, shaped by technology and AI at a very, very exponential, rather, pace, right? So now when, and whatever decisions, we need to understand this, that the decisions that we take now will actually, define the future of the future, let's say, digital landscape, right, in the decades to come, right? So therefore, it is absolutely important that the women join the forces now, right? And why? Because A, they are half the population. B, they're half the consumer base, right? They are an equal stakeholder in the future of a society, right? And also, as you said, it is also important because women also have a very unique perspective. Women leaders have a very unique perspective. They understand nuanced behaviors, right? Which can actually help the business design, far more empathetic and, let's say, human-centric solutions, right? So now, as the world is adopting more and more, digital, let's say, tech, as you said, right? It is, and if we want the tech to be, let's say, inclusive, representative, free from the entrenched biases that have been existing in the past, right? It is absolutely essential that, and urgent that the women join and participate at all levels in the decision making now.
Where India is establishing its global dominance on tech, the world views us as the innovation hub which can deliver at scale. So with this kind of speed of operations, of innovation, what do you think organizations can focus on to build this pipeline, not only about a pipeline for leadership, but having tech, workforce, a diverse workforce across all levels?
No, I think it's a great question. And what I feel is that it must start from the top, right? Because culture flows from leadership, and their buy-in is critical, right? So, inclusion and diversities, they cannot be HR initiatives alone. They have to be core organizational priority. But again, this does not mean that, you just get away setting up measurable targets like, let's hire X number of women employee or retain women employee across all levels. It needs an additional investment in terms of time and effort. I feel is that organizations must ensure that performance is measured only on merit, because women don't seek preferential treatment. They just seek equal opportunity to prove themselves, right? So organizations have to make a very diligent effort to address these biases, which are at times very overt, at times they're subtle, but they are entrenched, right? The other thing, of course, is that the organizations rather must be able to create a very flexible and empathetic environment. And when I talk about flexibility, we should understand what it truly means. It does not mean reduced work hours. It does not mean reduced, let's say, workload. And the last thing that I feel is also very important is, that organizations must encourage creation of, or lots of formation, let's use the word formation of forums or networks or even small groups of women within and outside the organization. Because women face unique challenges, right? We are the mother, we are a daughter, we have, we are a manager, we are a leader, we are a reportee, and so many roles that we need to juggle with, right? And also navigate societal norms, right? So our challenges are very unique. And I don't think so men would be able to understand that, right? So what these forums do is that they actually create a space where, women can connect, they can share, they can give advice, they can take advice, and they can also provide support, right? Peer support, right? And sometimes, these forums, they act as an outlet to discuss challenges, celebrate successes, wins, right? And at times just went out, right? So these forums are an amazing support system. And what I strongly believe is that when women feel supported, right, it actually goes a long way in ensuring that, women grow into higher positions.
So I think, Rinku, you being a chartered accountant and now being leading a tech firm, your journey has been a journey less traveled. So I would really be keen to understand stories of your successes, your learnings, which we all can get inspired by.
I think that's a great question, but actually there have been innumerable lessons, in this entire roller coaster journey that I've been through, right? And but maybe let's just take the key ones that I feel is or have been very instrumental. The first thing was, of course, or is that be a lifelong learner, right? Never stop learning, because the day you stop seeking knowledge, you stagnate. In tech, you just become obsolete and irrelevant, right? So whether it is even acquiring a new skill, whether it is, let's say, adapting to changes, a new role or a new technology, or learning from others, constant learning is non-negotiable, right? Or rather, let's say continuous learning is non-negotiable. The next important thing which I feel, more so being a woman, is believe in yourself, right? Because if you don't believe in your own abilities, how can you make people believe in you, right? And in fact, in most, or let's say in, this self-belief has always been the foundation for me to make bold decisions and push the boundaries, right? The fact that, I thought I could even take up tech, right? Coming from a finance background, which is so, let's say, different, right? Was because I believed that I can do it. So, and trust me, there are enough and more than people who are willing to pull you down, or who will kind of, try to tell you that no, this is not possible. The third most important thing, I guess, is we as women need to build a support system around us. We play, as I said, different roles. We are a mom, we are a daughter, we are a wife, we are a manager, right? So what happens is that we can't play all these roles all alone, right? So it is very, very important to surround ourselves, both at home and workplace, with a support system. And the last thing for me, I guess, there are many learnings, as I said, but another important learning for me was empathy, right? Because empathy is a strength that is quite underestimated, right? But it's a great leadership quality. It just helps build trust. It helps build strong relationships. It helps build, or rather, people value you more as a person than not a leader, right? And also what I've seen is that it has the power to transform teams into assets, right? And, build a culture which is around collaboration and loyalty, right? So always have empathy. And we as women, I think it just comes very naturally to us. Yet at the same time, we should know that, we should allow the women, we can empathize with them. There have been instances where, people have reached out and, they've said that, help me. Of course, you should be there to help them. You should say, I've got you. But at the same time, you should also help them to fight for themselves, right? Support them. So I guess these are just some of the important learnings that I did. Let's say I did incorporate in my life and in this journey.
But empathy, which builds resilience, has been a cornerstone of your journey. And with this, Rinku, I wish you the very best. It has been so amazing talking to you, and I'm sure your stories, your career trajectory, and all that you believe are the possibilities within tech will inspire many, many of us who are hearing you. So thank you for being part of this.
Thank you so much.